The United States southern border is raging out of control. Last week, I traveled down to the southern border to hear from local leaders, law enforcement, and our brave Border Patrol agents in Yuma, Arizona. I saw the border at night and during the daylight hours with Arizona Department of Homeland Security Director Tim Romer, Yuma County Sheriff Leon Wilmot, Yuma Mayor Doug Nichols, and County Supervisor Jonathan Lines. I got to talk with Border Patrol in Arizona and heard from them about how hard this job has become thanks to Joe Biden's radical open border policies. Let me just say that these men and women that work at Border Patrol are absolute heroes. In Yuma, Border Patrol agents are encountering illegal immigrants every day. Some are dangerous criminals, traffickers, drug cartel members, or even terrorists. Others are families victimized by the cartels. I encountered a family from Haiti while I was there. I watched them cross the border through a massive hole in the border wall caused by Joe Biden's decision not to complete the already paid-for wall. Not to complete an already paid-for wall. These families are victims of the cartels. Once in America, many of them live a life of endangered servitude and debilitating debt in which they have to send nearly all their money back to the savage cartels. Many of the children are trafficked, made to pose as the children of people they don't know. And we know that so many women and children who make this journey are brutally victimized and raped. But still the cartel pushed these families across the border. It's all just money to them. Joe Biden's actions are making the cartel richer. I saw it firsthand last week. Dozens of migrants crossed into our country right in the front of me while I was in Yuma. And we could see the savage coyotes watching them from across the river. That's what our Border Patrol is up against each and every day. There's about 200 Border Patrol agents across the entire Yuma sector, but that same area is seeing more than 700 illegal crossings every day. It's sad how many of our Democrat colleagues don't give these brave agents the respect they deserve. And they certainly are not getting it from the White House. So we want to be clear, here on the floor of the United States Senate, in America, we respect our Border Patrol. We respect law enforcement. And we are incredibly thankful for their hard work and for their bravery. This is not my first time visiting the border since being elected to the Senate, but it's definitely the worst I've ever seen it. Secretary Mayorkas testified in the Homeland Security Committee that the border is closed. He said the border is closed. He's the only person in America that maybe is going to say that. No one in this country believes the border is closed, and it's clearly not. I saw it with my own eyes, and many other members of this chamber have seen it also. Secretary Mayorkas has repeatedly lied to me and other members and must resign now. Just this fiscal year, there have been 1.7 million illegal border crossings. That's the highest ever on record. That means by the end of this year, about 1 out of every 150 people in this country at the end of this year will have come here illegally this year. In Florida, we are an immigration state, and we're very proud of it. We love immigration. It's helped build our state. But it has to be legal. Illegal immigration threatens our safety, undermines our legal process, and hurts those who are waiting to come here through legal channels. But under Biden's system of open borders and illegal immigration, we're seeing dangerous individuals trying to come into this country. Of the 1.7 million people apprehended, which does not even include the getaways, we know that more than 10,000 have criminal records. Now, if you're going to be apprehended and taken care of, if you're not going to be apprehended and you're trying to get away, are you probably more inclined to have some past record that you don't want Border Patrol or law enforcement to know about? 10,000 of the ones apprehended have prior criminal records. Nearly 1,200 have prior convictions of assault or domestic violence. 2,100 have prior drug convictions. Nearly 500 have prior sexual abuse offenses. And the Biden administration can't even tell us where they are. They can't tell us where any of these individuals are, anything, what's happened to them, where they're being held, if they've been deported, nothing. I want to be clear, these are dangerous criminals who can harm our families, American families, and even one is too many. Along with those border crossings, our Border Patrol agents have seized more than 11,000 pounds of fentanyl in the last year. 11,000 pounds. That's 4 times as much as was confiscated in 2019. Now, let's think about this. 2 milligrams of fentanyl is a lethal dose, 2 milligrams. And 1 pound is enough to kill nearly 250,000 people. If you do the math, just the amount the Border Patrol has confiscated this year is enough to kill 2.5 billion people. 100,000 Americans died of drug overdoses this year. 100,000 Americans are dead because of drug overdoses just this year. That's 1 out of every 3,000 Americans. It's hitting Florida and every community across this country. Floridians, like everyone in this country, want to live in safe communities where their families can thrive and prosper. And where's Joe Biden? He's missing. He's hiding from the crisis he created. I heard him say recently they hadn't had time to get to the border. He didn't have time to get to the border. Well, I hope he has enjoyed his vacation in Nantucket last week and had plenty of ice cream. And what makes you even more angry is that while drugs and illegal immigrants are flowing in, Secretary Mayorkas has the audacity to come to the Homeland Security Committee and tell us that the border is closed when it clearly is not. It's shameful, and Secretary Mayorkas should resign. But simply holding Mayorkas accountable isn't going to solve this crisis. We need to do more to make sure our laws are being upheld. This crisis and the administration's refusal to do anything about it is why I've introduced the Upholding the Law at Our Border Act. This simple bill would require the Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security to investigate the vetting and processing of migrants apprehended along the southwest border, ensure that all laws are being upheld. It's a simple question that the Inspector General can and should answer. Is the Biden administration following all the laws with respect to immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border? My colleague said he wanted to change the immigration laws. In the meantime, you enforce the laws. When I was governor of Florida, I had to enforce all the laws whether I like them or not. That's exactly what Border Patrol should be doing right now and what the Biden administration should be doing right now. It's the kind of question everyone in this body should be interested in. Is the executive branch doing their job, following and enforcing the laws that the legislative branch has passed? When the executive branch doesn't enforce those laws, they should be held accountable. This was a simple bill to find out if the Department of Homeland Security is following all the laws. It's pretty simple. Follow all the laws in place as it relates to immigration and customs enforcement on our southern border. Yet my colleague objected to find out just this basic information. There's clearly a crisis on the border, and we all know it. And instead of ensuring that the laws of this body, that this body's passed, are being enforced and doing something about the influx of drugs that are killing American citizens and traffickers into our country, my colleague wants to hear nothing about it. 100,000 Americans died of overdoses this last year. Every person that dies of overdose impacts a family. It seems Democrats in Washington would rather stick their heads in the sand and pretend that nothing is wrong. I want to ask my Democrat colleagues, how do you explain 100,000 lives lost in drug overdoses to a parent who just lost a son or a daughter? And how do you explain Biden's decision to open our borders to our brave Border Patrol agents? They have no idea why the decisions, our Border Patrol agents have no idea why the decisions are being made that they are. I wonder if any of my Democrat colleagues have talked to a family who has lost a son or daughter to fentanyl overdose or a member of Border Patrol recently. Or do they just have to follow the lead of the open borders Biden? They can never object to whatever Biden wants and ignore our laws and our law enforcement. We've already seen that Joe Biden's policies of open borders and amnesty have been a total disaster for our nation. He has laid out the welcome mat for traffickers and cartel members and has ignored U.S. laws designed to keep American families safe, including not fully enforcing Title 42. It's clear that law enforcement in Yuma and across our southern border need help. And every day that Joe Biden and Secretary Mayorkas fail to provide it, they fail the American people. Secretary Mayorkas doesn't work for Joe Biden. He works for the American people, and he needs to do his job and secure this border. It's a shameful decision to forsake the responsibility to the American public that they've entrusted to the members of this body and to the executive branch. Enforce the law. And it's a decision to stand against our Border Patrol agents and our law enforcement who are putting their lives on the line. They put their lives on the line every day to keep dangerous drugs and violent criminals from entering this country. That's their job, and they need help doing it. We can't let this stand any longer because the American people deserve better than 100,000 people this last year dying of drug overdoses. Mr. President, I yield the floor.